and actions, so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with the grace to do only those things that will promote the peace, unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria. We are ably represented by the Deputy Whip, my distinguished colleagues. I am Comrade Peter Umeoji, MNI. I represent the Federal constituency, and by the grace of God, the chairman of this Ad Hoc Committee.
Yes, thank you very much.
Ably represented by the Deputy Whip, our own Erika Oyejocha. My dear colleagues, members of the fourth realm of the estate, ladies and gentlemen, my apology for sitting down to deliver this speech because the appropriate podium is not available in this small space. My very honorable colleagues and members of the press, it is with great pleasure and a deep sense of responsibility that I welcome you all to this very important occasion. The House on Thursday, 26th of September 2019, constituted this ad hoc committee with a view to unraveling and finding a lasting solution to the crude oil theft in Nigeria. It is no longer news that Nigerian crude oil is being stolen on an industrial scale, with proceeds being laundered through world financial centers and used to buy estates, establish businesses for personal gains within, but not mostly outside Nigeria. Sad as it is, I however want to state that crude oil theft is as old as Nigeria oil industry. According to several media reports, pirates and local community chiefs, the Joint Task Force, politicians, public servants, international middlemen, and their financiers have formed a network that reaches from the creeks to the Atlantic Ocean. This act, which is attributable to lax protection of petroleum pipelines, poor infrastructure, and dismal oil accounting system, is believed to have translated to loss of approximately 400,000 barrels of crude oil per day, which is roughly about 20% of Nigeria's daily output. It's also a known fact that Nigeria funds the budget about 90% from the revenue accruable from oil proceeds. And if we do not take up this task to find a lasting solution to put an end to crude oil theft in the country, there will come a time we would have to do more borrowing to fund our national budget. I would like to, at this juncture, on behalf of members of this ad hoc committee, assure the House and Nigerians that we will be committed in the discharge of our duties as mandated by the House. In the course of doing our job, attention will not be limited to illegal bunkering, but will focus more on oil accounting, diversion, vandalization of oil pipelines, etc. Once again, I thank the Speaker and members, the leadership of the House, and assure that as we get inaugurated today, we will hit the ground running to comply with and deliver on the assignment. Thank you. God bless you.
Gentlemen, I thank you all for coming, and also apologize for coming late. Of course, it's because of, how do you say it in the other clients? Due to operational reasons. On behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Amy Wajabi Amila, I welcome you all to this important gathering. And of course, to state the obvious, like the chairman has said, this whole committee is just to do one simple, and I call it very simple, because the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria has empowered you to do so, to unravel the mystery of crude oil theft. And we believe that this committee is well selected, you have integrity already, and you need to get it to the next level to prove that you're worth the trust that the House of Representatives is putting onto your shoulder. To work hard and make sure that people do not derail you. Be focused. Let your eyes remain on the ball. Because when you are given this kind of assignment, there could be some insinuations so that you don't get to the end. And so we urge you to be focused. Do not at any point deviate from the ball that you're going to score the goal with. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters is the output. And the output is going to be seen by the kind of hard work you put in. Of course, you know that most times when you invite these people, they try to derail the system by giving excuses or the other. You're working with timeline, and they should also know that Constitution has embarked you, and that you will not shy away from using the constitutional means to make sure that anybody that you invite appear before this committee, because you have the full backing of House of Representatives. And of course, you know the obvious reasons. We are depending on this oil for budgeting processes. Everything we do is about oil, even though the present government is trying to diversify. But it takes a little while because it's not easy. And so we need to know the players, the people who are diverting these funds that is for Nigerian people. It's affecting us, it's affecting everybody sitting down here. Look at 2019 budget. We couldn't implement it, not because the president didn't want to. It is because there's no fund. And yet, some individuals are richer than the country, and I can tell you that for free. And who are these people? They are people who are shortchanging the system, people who have gone into pirating, people who have gone to steal our collective resources like this crude oil theft. So it's a very serious assignment, and I believe that all of you are well equipped because you have experiences, and of course the deputy leader, having been in the sector, we didn't make a mistake to choose him to chair this committee. And of course I've seen a lot of men who are well versed in the legislative practice, and I'm sure nobody will intimidate you, nobody, because you have the full backing of House of Representatives. And apart from that, you have the full backing of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And people must be called to account for their activities, especially people who are derailing the country to move forward. So on this note, I wish you all well, and I believe that you're going to turn in reports that will make our 2020 budget very fruitful one, because we believe that from this committee we are going to get enough funds to fund 2020 budget. And that's the kind of trust that is reposed on this committee.
As of this committee, the chairman, I thank you, distinguished Chief Whip of the House, for your heartwarming address. It's a big motivation for the members of this committee. And I promise you on behalf of our colleagues that we are going to do the needful, and that in shortest possible time that a credible report will be led before the House. I'm sure that with the type of a good chairman we have, this assignment is done already. So thank you for your address, and we say thank you, and relay our message to the Speaker that we are determined to deliver. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, the whole essence of this assignment is to investigate and unearth the forces behind the menace that we call oil theft in this country. An act that has actually constituted a very big challenge to the country's ability, to provide, infrastructure and the much needed, development for Nigerian people. In doing this, we have been given specific terms of reference, and this includes to determine the volume of crude oil extracted in the country on a daily basis. 2, to determine the quantity sold at the internal markets and the quantity consumed locally. 3, to ascertain the quantity of crude oil stolen on a daily basis and the people responsible for the theft. 4, also determine the quantity of crude oil that is externally consumed on daily basis. Further determine the quantity of crude oil that is reserved daily for refineries to process into petrol, kerosene, diesel, etc. Ensure that a thorough environmental impact assessment of the damage caused to the ecology is carried out. And finally, report back to the House for further legislative action. I must say that this is a very serious problem. It is as old as the oil industry itself. Oil theft is not new to us in this country, but it has assumed a very, alarming proportion in recent times. As far back as 2001, the federal government set up a committee. This is an excerpt from the report of that committee. They say that they noted that a major threat to Nigeria oil industry arises from the activities of a cartel or mafia, which comprises highly placed and powerful individuals within the society, running a network of agents to steal crude oil and finished petroleum products from pipelines in Nigeria, and could possibly be enjoying the patronage of some retired or top-serving military and security personnel, political allies of government, who benefit from the illicit oil business and have persistently frustrated efforts by the international community to assist Nigeria fight the culprits. This is a very serious revelation from a committee set up by President Obasanjo in 2001. We are going to take on this investigation from that perspective to look at who are actually responsible and how we can stop this, criminality, and ensure that the revenue derivable from the oil and gas industry, is exactly what we ought to be getting in this country, not anything short of that. We believe that as it is presently, Nigeria is not getting up to 70% of what it should be getting from oil industry, being the mainstay of our economy. So this is a very, very important committee. It is a very important assignment. I call on you, my colleagues, to show commitment and dedication to this job, because it is a very, very important national assignment that we have been given. We will do our best. We are aware that a lot of committees have attempted to look at these issues in the past. There were challenges, and I believe that they still exist. But because we are committed, because in this 9th Assembly, we are determined to work with the executive and other arms of government to ensure that leakages are plugged, to ensure that we shore up revenue for developmental purposes. We are going to do everything possible to surmount every challenges on our way, to ensure that at the end of the day, the report that we are going to produce will help Nigerians, to get, to the next level. Thank you.
And then secondly, like you pointed out, we've had several committees of business assemblies look into the same issue. At the end of the day, nothing really came of it. Now, my question or my concern is, how do you intend to deal with pressure? Because there's not only pressure. How do you intend to deal with pressure and resistance from certain stakeholders? How do you intend to go about that?
The committee has 8 weeks to submit its report.
That is tactical.
Sorry?
That is tactical. It's your information that just the committee.
To submit our report. When it comes to withstanding pressure, I can assure you that there's hardly any House committee work that does not, encounter severe pressure. We are legislators. We are mandated by the votes of our constituents to serve Nigeria. That is sufficient strength for us to confront whatever it is that we are going to be facing in the course of doing this job. But I want to assure our people that this government is determined to ensure transparency. What you need most is the support of the people and the government. When you have a government that is determined to ensure that we get the best from our oil and gas activities, you can be sure that there is no amount of intimidation and threat that will derail the course of this committee.
On behalf of this other committee, I thank you all for coming, especially the very hardworking members